Keith Madison, the head baseball coach of the Kentucky Wildcats, in the UK dugout, intently looking on as we move to the bottom of the fourth inning. Kentucky and the Vols tied at 3. Kentucky 3-6-2, Tennessee 3-7-1 as we head to the bottom of the fourth. I'm going to pretend I didn't see that flash of light.
It was a flash bulb.
Okay, I didn't see that.
Photography flash.
Here's Ryan Moffett. Moffett squares the bunt, pops it up. Wilson can't make the play. He just needed one more stride.
And Moffett got lucky on that one. He tried to lay down a bunt and popping it in the air. John Wilson came out. We saw John Massey come out from behind the dish earlier in the ball game and catch a pop-up. This time, John Wilson had a chance. The ball didn't hang up there long enough for him. He gave a good effort.
Here's the next pitch to Moffett. Swing and a miss, 0-2. Ryan Moffat's last home run came against the Dayton Flyers on March the 15th. The Tennessee Volunteer Baseball team went to Hawaii. They played some games early in the season where the temperature was hovering around the 30-degree level, and then they went right to Hawaii.
If you didn't have it scheduled before, you play a couple games in 30-degree weather, you'll schedule it as fast as you can then.
Moffett dumps one into right field for a leadoff hit for the Vols. It was a good piece of hitting there. Didn't try to pull it, just reached out and dumped it into right field. And so the game tied at 3. The Vols have the leadoff man aboard.
Agree totally with that. With a 2-strike count against him. Hung in there, stayed with it. And as you said, didn't try and pull it. Just went with what the pitcher gave him. Punch it to right field.
All right, this is Ryan Case. Case is on the case. First time up, singled in a run.
Great defensive play to end last inning.
Sure did.
Saved a run for sure.
Drops down a bunt down the third base line. Harrison made a fine play. He was up on the grass anyway. That's a do-or-die play for Harrison. Came in and made the play. A sacrifice bunt moves Moffett down to second base and into scoring position. 1 out now in the bottom of the 4th.
I'm sure Vince Harrison, you see him there, number 5, has a little sense of relief having made that play, because he did bobble it a little as he picked it up coming in playing the bunt. You did mention it. He was prepared for it. They were looking for that play, but bobbled it a little bit, got rid of it, and made the play. So he has to feel a little bit better now after the struggles he had last inning.
Vols have 8 hits on the game. This is Baumtrog, and he singled his first time up. He laid down a bunt single.
He contributed to that big inning for Tennessee during that time.
Check out that back foot of Baumtrog in the batter's box. He's pushing that thing right to the limit.
We saw Christensen, who was on top of it.
But look at the back foot, right on the back line.
A great shot right there. Showing he's back as far as he can go without being out of the box. Mike Miller, our director, bringing us a great shot. Craig Goodrich, our producer, keeping us in line.
Great crew today.
I'll tell you what, that's an all-day job, though, keeping you in line.
You got that right. There's the bunt. Scooped up by Wade. Goes to first and records the out. And Moffett takes third. That was not an easy play. Wade got off the mound in a hurry and was able to get to the ball and record the out. 2 outs now.
Another good bunt. Baumtrog laying it down, and you're right. Wade has to make the play and then flip it over. Good job staying with it as he came off. That shows athleticism coming off the mound. And again, Greg Goff, and then they had just worked on their conditioning, but worked on their fundamentals too, because you can tell that's the play coming off the mound balanced after your pitch allows you to make that play.
Yeah, Wade did a good job. He got off the mound and really didn't have an opportunity to use both hands to pull the ball in. He scooped the ball with his glove hand. There was no margin of error there. That was a good play. Here's Chris Burke at the top of the lineup. Ball's looking for a 2-out hit to try to pick up Moffett, who's 90 feet away, down at third. Game tied at 3, bottom of the 4th.
And for Tennessee, you don't mind at all seeing Chris Burke at the plate in this situation. Real competitor for him. for them.
Burke is 1 for 2. He singled in the bottom of the first inning and then was thrown out trying to go to third on a single by Kris Bennett. Burke couldn't get around on the fastball by Wade. Fouled it off. It's 1-2. We're talking about the Vols' trip to Hawaii. Became one of 3 Vols all time to collect 6 hits in a game out there against Hawaii Hilo. Stays outside. It's 2-2.
And that was in a single game, correct? That's not both ends of a double.
No, that's one game. 6 hits in a game. And he was 6 for 6 in that game. Stays alive, fouls it right back. That was power against power there. Wade was coming in with a fastball, and Burke fouled it straight back. You saw his lofty batting average. He's 3rd in the SEC in average. Here's the pitch from Wade. Shot to the right side. Green has it, and the inning is over. So in the inning, no runs, a hit, no errors. 1 man left on base. After 4, we're tied at 3. We're tied at 3, heading to the 5th here in Knoxville. For all the latest news on the SEC, be sure to log on to secsports.com. Get up-to-date scores, stories, even buy merchandise from your favorite school. The Southeastern Conference on the web at secsports.com.
I log on to that more.
I'm all over that one.
I tell you what, I hope my employer's not listening to how often I'm checking out the SEC website. I do work hard at my job. I do. I promise.
Brian Gates now moving into his 5th inning of work as the starter for the Tennessee Vols. And here is Big John Wilson. You know, and it's just it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when.
When he turns it loose, he hasn't got. I think he's 0 for the series so far. So you're just playing with fire each time he comes to the plate.
You know, we got a great shot of him at the plate just a moment ago. Look at the guns on this guy.
Yeah, he spent a little bit of time in the weight room. I tell you what, most of the team they call him Sir.
Yeah. Here's the 2-1 to Wilson. And it's low. Now, they've been working him rather carefully. He walked his first time up in the 1st and skied to deep right in the 3rd. And he sends one towards center field here.
Good luck.
But Baumtrog has a bead, and it's just a loud out.
Again, Brian Gates being able to pitch to John Wilson with no one on base, the first batter of the inning. It allows his pitching coach, Randy Mazie, to call different pitches for him, to work him a little bit differently than they would in a run-scoring situation. So Brian Gates a little more confidence being able to throw to John Wilson that way, and now the same thing with Aaron McGlone.
So McGlone steps in. 1 for 2. He singled back in the 1st. Drove in a run.
Why do they say you have balls in your mouth?
And it stays low, 2-0. He was a first-team All-American in high school back in 1996 for Greenup County. And it's a called strike, 2-1. He lists being named Kentucky's Mr. Baseball as his most memorable moment.
He's making a lot of memorable moments here at the University of Kentucky since he's been there.
This could be another moment right here. Off the wall. McGlone with a one-hopper to the wall, and he pulls into second with a stand-up double. So McGlone with his second hit of the game. He sent 2 ropes to right tonight.
And he's getting that barrel out ahead of things. Look at him staying in. Short, compact stroke, and he's able to pull it off the wall. Coast into second with a double, his second hit of the ball game.
You know, he had a 4-hit game last year against Tennessee.
Good job by Justin Parker, able to play it off the wall. Most of the hops out there should be fairly true. It's not like trying to play it off a Fenway and you have to know every nook and cranny, but still, outfielders have to approach it. You know, again, we go back to what we talked about earlier, a little bit of wet turf, so you approach it a little more gingerly, making sure you don't overrun it or slip and fall, so the ball squirts through and the batter's able to take an extra base.
Well, the ball just died when it did hit the wall and right. So here's Harrison with an opportunity to drive in a run. And he sends one to right. Parker is back. McGlone will tag. And he gets in there. A slide might have been advisable there, Charles.
And I do believe that Jan Weisberg, the third base coach, I think he was coming over telling that's all fine and dandy, but a slide is a lot safer in that situation.
All right, here's Robert Newton. And here's what happened when he came up in the fourth. That was the ping of power, an opposite field solo home run to left.
Yeah, Ryan Moffett gave it a look. Now Randy Massey going to the mound for Tennessee, wanting to talk to Brian Gate. 2-out situation, runner on third. They want to make sure what they're doing. This is a big situation with a tie ball game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and prior to this ball game, Randy Massey, number 14, you see him in there. He visited with us and talked about. He said he's got a brother-in-law, Cale Watkins, who just had a very serious accident, is paralyzed in the hospital. Wants to send out his best wishes to him, and chins up to him and get well soon. And he's thinking about him, and right now he's thinking about this pitch that he's going to call with Brian Gates, how they're going to work this situation to make sure they get out of this inning with no runs scored.
Yeah, well, Brian Gates told me an interesting story yesterday about how he got to Tennessee. Dave Serrano, who used to be an assistant with Tennessee, who went out to Fullerton. Of course, Brian's brother plays for Cal Fullerton. Those guys got together, and that's how Tennessee found out about him originally.
And that's how it all works. That's how all those situations where you hear about guys transferring and where they go, it is the rare time that it just happens. There's usually a connective thread somewhere along the way. Dave Serrano's connection to Tennessee. You got a guy out here who's looking to move. You guys got to take a look. Boom.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, it happened.
And Brian and I talked about this yesterday. I mean, just on the surface, he did not have a very impressive record. I mean, he was 3-8 for Sacramento State in the Big West Conference, and here he is, one of the key members of the rotation now for the Tennessee Vols. Foul straight back by Newton.
Well, as you said, on the surface, it looked very impressive, but that's why these coaches get paid to do what they do. They dug deeper below the surface and learned that his run support was really lacking at Sacramento State. He had a fine ERA there. The run support was less than, his ERA was right about what the run support was. He wasn't getting very many breaks, but he was still a good pitcher.
Newton sends this one to left center field. Baumtrog calls off Moffett and makes the catch. So in the inning, a double by McGlone goes off the board. We're heading to the bottom of the fifth, tied at 3.
If you're not a fisherman, you might think that Jim's
way.
SEC TV kicks off its softball coverage next Friday night right here in Knoxville as Tennessee, the Lady Vols, host the South Carolina Lady Gamecocks. The action kicks off with SEC Today at 7 Eastern Friday night on Fox Sports Net. Now, Charles, you're not going to tell anybody about this hot dog I got up here, are you?
I wasn't going to tell anyone. I'm glad you just told all of our viewers that you can't wait for the next half inning so you can knock down the hot dog.
I thought it was smell-o-vision. We are going to the bottom of the fifth. We are tied at 3. Scott Wade controls things. He is the pitcher for UK. Kris Bennett. Bennett, 1 for 2. Singled in the first and was thrown out trying to steal. Well, you can forget about getting any of that hot dog, Charles.
Yeah, I thought as soon as I said that, well, I guess there's been no sharing, will there?
No.
Once again, I will go hungry.
We're in a 3-3 game. Wade rocks and deals. That's a good-looking curveball. 2-1. Bennett will be followed here in the fifth inning by Christensen and Daniel for Tennessee. just got a piece of it, and the count levels now at 2-2.
And just 2 pitches ago, he was at 2-0. You remember the days of old, Dave, when you and I were back there trying to swing a bat 2-0, usually meant fastball. Nowadays, these guys, they'll throw their best stuff. He came back with breaking ball and repeated it on the 2-1 pitch. Now he's back to even.
Check swing, and that's a strikeout. Couldn't hold it, so that will be a swinging strikeout. Bennett is the first out of the 5th.
They always teach you to get ahead of the hitters. Scott Wade had to come back from 2-0 and came back with a big breaker. Look at that. Yeah, definitely good call. Good call by the first base ump. He definitely went. Strikeout for Scott Wade.
And for Wade, just his second strikeout. And there is a base hit back up the middle for Christensen. So Christensen is now 2 for 3, singling in his second consecutive plate appearance. And the possible go-ahead run in this game now on base for the Tennessee Vols.
Yes, last night we were watching the game together, Dave, you mentioned it on the first at-bat. Didn't hurt that Christensen hit a home run. But you talk about what a good-looking hitter he was. You trying to decide who he looked like at the plate, and we couldn't really come up with anyone with that goatee. Kind of look like Jeff Bagwell right now, although his is a little more trim, a little trimmer than Jeff's is at the moment. But he swung a very nice bat this whole series so far.
Yeah, Bagwell making you think of the House of David, but
wow, that's a reference to come up with, the House of David team that played the barnstorming in the 40s and the 50s. Dave, a man of history here.
Christensen, I'm not sure who his swing reminds me of. It reminded me of John Olerud at first, but that's not quite right. He's got a little bit more of a looping swing than Olerud. There's a shot in the right, and that is going to fall in there for a base hit. So the Vols here in the 5th going station to station after Bennett struck out. Christensen and Daniel have put back-to-back singles on the board. And we've got some stirring finally in the Kentucky pen.
Good job there by Daniel, being able to fight it off, going off the right. The runner breaking for Seth Christensen. He's thinking that the outfielder is about to catch the ball. It's a good job by the outfielder making him think that he's coming up with the catch. That slowed him down, so he didn't have the opportunity to go to third base.
So Greg Goff, the pitching coach, is out on the mound. And this is when you're going out to the mound and you're saying, what do you got? And you expect the catcher, the veteran John Wilson, to tell the pitching coach, honestly, what Scott Wade has left.
Yeah, he has to be honest with him because you're in a tie ball game. You're trying to win a big series here. You can't go out and tell them you have something if you don't. And also, it also allows them to get started on their bullpen. Get the guys up working right now. And Kentucky has 2 guys up, throwing in the bullpen, getting loose.
And, you know, if you're the pitching coach, this is a very important part of the game, too, because you have to be honest in your assessment of the starter at this point. Because in a 3-3 ball game, there are 2 men on, only 1 man out. The Vols could be setting up a big inning. Justin Parker, the right fielder now. Here's the pitch to the left-hand swinging Parker. Swings over the ball. And Wade can't find the bag. All hands are safe. The Vols have the bases loaded. Newton got to the ball in good stead, but Wade just couldn't find the bag.
This has been it's been a trouble area for both teams all game. Balls hit to that side of the infield, in between pitcher and the first baseman, who's going to have to make the play. And that time it was hustled down the line too. It allowed Justin Parker to beat that out.
And now
the skipper's going to the mound.
Oh, that's always bad.
Yeah, and I think they've made the call already. Looks like number 22 will be Joseph Blanton coming into the ball game. He's coming in a hurry. He's ready to go. Coming in on the trot.
We'll take a brief break from Knoxville and return in a moment.
This
is the Sierra Sports Special Edition. It comes with a road-hungry suspension, Vortec power, four-wheel anti-lock disc brakes, sports side styling, and permission to forget what your mother told you. Looks count. Lease a 2000 Sierra Sports Special Edition for as low as $229 a month. Residency restrictions apply. Call for important lease details.
Well, here in Knoxville, we've had a pitching change. Joseph Blanton, right-hander, freshman from Brownsville, Kentucky, is on. And this young man, you can see his stats. He throws hard. He's thrown as hard as 93, 92 miles an hour. He's a freshman who, according to the head coach, Keith Madison, sometimes has a tendency to overthrow, has a tendency to get behind in the count. He throws a cut fastball, has a changeup, and he has a 6 to 12 rotation curve. Has been effective in long relief.
He's the guy that he told us about yesterday that he likes to use in long relief. He has the arm for it. He says he's got the arm to make up for it and wants to bring him in those situations. And he can't be in a tougher situation now.
No.
They couldn't have brought him in any tougher situation. So this gives him a chance to go out and do it.
So Joseph Blanton is on in relief. And he's stepping into a hot kitchen here. The bases are loaded. We're full of balls. It's orange all around the bases. And only one out here in the bottom of the fifth. We are tied at 3. And there you see Wade in the dugout now. He is responsible for the 3 men aboard. Here's John Massey. Massey has gone 1 for 2. He singled and scored back in the second. He started a 2-out rally in that frame. Massey, first pitch swinging, sends this one to right. It is off the base of the wall. 1 run scored. Here comes another. Massey is out at second base, but 2 runners come home, and the Vols have a 5-3 lead.
Excellent job by John Massey, banging it off the right field wall. Tried to stretch it into a double and was thrown out, but he got the job done. Now he's got to run around third with 2 outs. Look at it. Gets the arms extended, bangs it to right. 2-run score on the play. Both of the runners coming home ahead of him. His runner on first gets all the way to third. Massey thrown out at second base. Christensen coming in as the first run.
And Daniel's right behind him.
Stevie Daniel. And trying to turn it into a 2-bagger. Good play by the outfielder of Kentucky, throwing it in, catching it. Now we've got 2 outs, run around third for 10-6.
So how about Massey? He didn't even look at one pitch from Blanton. He just took the first pitch and roped it off the wall to right. It brought home a pair of balls. It's 5-3. And now Parker is 90 feet away at third, and Ryan Moffett trying to pick him up with a 2-out base knock.
Moffett singled his last time up. Good piece of hitting on a 2-strike count. Went with the pitch, went to right field. He'd love to do that again.
You can see why Kentucky coach Keith Madison likes him. He throws a heavy fastball, no question. Here comes another one. And on 4 pitches, Moffett is walked. So 2 on, 2 out, 2 in. And here's the first baseman, Ryan Case.
Well, this is a little disconcerting when you come into the ballgame. The first pitch you throw is banged off the wall for a 2-run scoring single.
So we'll see if Case, who swings from the right side, will have any success trying to get around on Blanton, who is really bringing the heat. He had a hard time that time. Let's take a look at the runners. Moffett is at first base, and Parker at third. Over the top. Took a little something off that. That might have been that 12 rotation curveball we had heard a bit about.
And the 6 to 12 coming right over the top with it, getting a good wrist snap.
Here's the pitch to Case. A little bit off that, but it stayed high, and it's 2-1. The Blanton has not been the perfect example of relief in this inning. He came into the game with the bases loaded. His first pitch was wrapped against the wall by John Massey. It scored 2 balls. Then he walked Moffett. So the balls with 2 runners already in have runners on the corners with 2 outs. Tennessee now with an even dozen hits on the game. There's the pitch, and it's sent into short right field. Green is there to make the catch, and the inning is over. But in the inning, 2 runs scored. On 4 hits, no errors, 2 men left. 5-3 Tennessee after 5. Tennessee leads Kentucky 5-3 as we move to the 6th inning. The Vols with a 2-run edge for the first time today. Be sure and tune in every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern for SEC TV Weekly, the show that brings you all the latest news and stories from the Southeastern Conference. Join host Dave Neal as he travels throughout the SEC on SEC TV Weekly, 10 o'clock Eastern every Saturday. So the Kentucky Wildcats find themselves down now by 2 runs as we move to the top of the 6th inning. This is Seth Morris. Morris doubled and scored back in the 2nd inning. Kentucky with single runs in the 1st, 2nd, and 4th. Swing and a miss is 1 and 2. The Vols scored a single run in the 2nd and then put 2 on the board in the 3rd and 2 more on the board in the bottom of the 5th and lead it 5-3. Here's the pitch. Line drive single. So Morris has his 2nd hit of the game, and UK with their leadoff man aboard here in the 6th.
Never a dull moment in this game thus far. I tell you what, both of these teams really hitting the ball well. The pitching hasn't been bad. It hasn't been a case where the guys are just serving them up. These guys are making good placement with their hits.
UK now with 8 hits. Here's Breck Price, the DH. He's been aboard twice. And that stayed low. He walked in the 2nd and singled in the 4th.
Remember, Keith Madison is waiting for the big breakout from him in the power category. Hasn't hit one out yet this year. That's what Keith Madison is waiting to see.
And that's a good-looking pitch from Brian Gates. Gates transfer from Sacramento State. Now into the 6th inning. Facing the left-handed hitting Price. Here's the pitch. Stays outside. 2 balls and a strike. Boy, Kentucky got off to a great start this season in their non-conference schedule. They went 18-0 in their first 18 non-conference games.
Yeah, in all games they were 15-0 when they start, and 16 of their first 18. But you're right, all in non-conference, 18-0. And again, that start, Coach Madison alluded to that earlier in his soundbite, big help for his team confidence-wise because of the number of young pitchers that they had. And then to win most of those on the road. He said 10 of the first 15 games that were on the road. Do that in the so-called hostile environment that they traveled to. And in that case, probably cold weather more than anything. That's big for them.
Here's a 2-2 pitch, and it's sent to center. Baumtrog has a bead, and that's the first out.
Breck Price just can't get off the schneid right now for him. He's had a few good looks at it. The one hit that he did get was one that he fisted in the left field. He thought it was going to be a foul ball. Ended up being a base hit for him, but he just can't get extended and get that power stroke going yet.
Here's the shortstop, Jeff Meade. And Meade's been aboard twice. Fielder's choice in the 2nd and singled in the 4th. Sent this one to left. Moffett going back. Gone! Home run, 2-run shot. Jeff Meade. with just his second homer of the season. It's a two-run dinger here in the top of the sixth inning, and it ties the game at 5.
Seems like every time Brian Gates is a stake to a lead, Kentucky comes back on it. And he was up 3-2 a couple innings ago. Kentucky came back and tied the game. They come back as 5-3.
Oh, yeah.
Meade. Not much doubt about that one. Ryan Moffett giving it the chase. But once again, there's no chance of pulling that one back in. The second home run of the ball game for the Wildcats.
If you're UK, you got to love it when your number 9 hitter in the lineup rips a two-run homer.
And he's really having a good series so far. I believe that's the 4th hit in 2 ball games for Jeff Meade.
Back to the top of the order now for Andy Green. And we're all tied again, and Green sends this one into left field for a base hit. So Green now has been aboard 3 times. That's his second hit. And now we're getting some activity down in the Tennessee Vol bullpen.
They have a left-hander up, number 54, Joe Bertolino. Looks like he's getting the bulk of the work right now. They had someone else throwing, but looks like they're giving way for him. Getting someone else up and loose. But Joe Bertolino, the David Wells lookalike, as they call it.
I was just going to ask you about that, Charles.
If he comes into the ball game, everyone will know what we're talking. There you see him, number 54. They say he's built like David Wells, throws from the left side like David Wells. He's a clubhouse prankster, has a lot of those same similarities, but they say once he goes between the chalk lines, he's all business. So we'll see if he does come into the ballgame. We'll get a chance to see Joe Bertolino pitch.
Tied at 5, here's Moore. And it's a ball inside. 1-0. 1 out in the 6th. UK used the 2-run homer by Jeff Meade earlier in this inning to tie the game at 5.
The right-hander warming up in the Tennessee bullpen is number 22, Jordan DeJong. So they've got a left-hander and a right-hander warming up. I'm sure whoever comes in to be in the situation when Coach Delmonico decides to make the change based on who Kentucky's planning on sending up to the plate.
And that pickoff attempt was just a bit closer. You know, Case has been impressive with his glove work over there at first base.
He made that big play a couple innings ago that saved a run for Tennessee. Diving stop and then a nice throw to first to the pitcher. Brian Gates throwing over to first base. Sometimes in the case of holding the runners on. Also, this allows your bullpen to get a few more pitches in too. So this is smart baseball on Tennessee's part, keeping the bullpen guys loose out there. Brian Gates buying some time, if nothing else. And of course, he would like to keep Andy Green closer to first base bag, not allowing him to get a jump on a base hit.
I'm sure Gates wants to stay in this game. And that could be in question if another man reaches. Moore shot off the glove of second baseman Burke. And that is going to allow Green to go all the way to third. So UK here in the 6th coming back in a big way. A 2-run homer to tie the game. And now there are cats on the corners.
Brian Case going to the mound to talk to Brian Gates. Andy Green taking off, got the hit and run on. He sees it all the way. And he picks up his coach at third base at that situation. The coach telling him to come on because he saw the ball go off of the glove of Chris Burke. Now it looks like Rod Delmonico is coming to the mound. Usually when the skipper comes to the mound and not the pitching coach, that's usually a clear indication he's going to make a change.
And he looked down to the bullpen just to see if the reliever is ready.
He's taking his time out there. Now is the call.
So we've got a pitching change here in Knoxville. Gates' day is done.
So they're going to bring in Jordan DeJong to pitch.
Andy Green has been one of the keys for the Kentucky Wildcats. And before the game, we were able to catch up with Keith Madison.
Seems like as Andy goes, we go. When he bangs out a couple of hits or puts down a couple of drag bunts, it seems like just fires our team up. And he's a sort of a quiet leader on our team, just an outstanding young man, just tremendous student, 4.0 student, provides a lot of off-the-field leadership for us, on-the-field leadership, leads our chapels many times, and just a wonderful young man. And doing a great job at second base for us this year, and I think one of the better leadoff hitters in the league. Like Aaron, he's been in that role since he was a freshman, so he has a lot of quality SEC experience.
And he's a quality young guy, no question about that. Andy Green of the Kentucky Wildcats. So Gates is gone, and Jordan DeJong is on. On in relief. There you can see the numbers. This is his 9th appearance.
He's been a starter mainly this season. He's just been out of the rotation a short time now, coming in out of the bullpen. Another guy they picked up this year has come in, and remember Rod Delmonico told us in our meeting, Dave, that they needed arms. That was going to be the key to their season. Jordan DeJong was one of those guys that they brought in, and has given them some good quality starts along the way. He's been 8 ball games, 7 of them as a starter. This will be a second relief appearance for him this year, and he's the guy that they need to come in right now, shut down Kentucky, get back to a tie ball game.
SEC baseball action continues next weekend as the Vanderbilt Commodores head south to take on the Florida Gators next Saturday at 4 Eastern, right here on SEC TV. All right, the pitcher, Jordan, is in. He spells his last name, capital D-E, capital J-O-N-G, but it is pronounced Gordon DeJong.
Well, I really messed that one up royally, didn't I?
So here's DeJong with the pitch. And it's a called strike to John Wilson.
Another California guy, DeJong, coming out. He's a transfer from Fullerton. So he's familiar with it, with Brian Gates, and Brian's familiar with him, both of them playing out in the Big West Conference. And tough spot because he's coming in and facing John Wilson, the best player in the SEC.
I think DeJong had the runner at first, dead to rights, but he just couldn't pull the trigger on the throw over there.
Well,
I think Case was ready.
You run that first and third fake so often, 99% of the time you don't get anyone. The 1% you have to take advantage of and capitalize on it. I think DeJong was surprised that he had a chance to make a play. He's not used to seeing anyone off the bag. Usually it's just a fake.
Charles, you're exactly right. I think when he looked over there and saw the runner so far off the bag, he couldn't believe it.
It doesn't happen very often. As I said, when you have that opportunity, you better take advantage of it, because that was definitely a chance for him to pick off the runner at first.
So this is the situation the Bulls are trying to avoid. Runners in scoring position for Wilson with less than 2 outs, and Moore is able to get down to second base. So with Green at third, Moore at second, 2 runners in scoring position, only 1 out, and Kentucky's big bopper, Wilson, at the plate, set to receive the 2-1.
Now if you're the pitching coach at Tennessee, Randy Massey and Rod Delmonico, you have a decision to make. Tie ball game. You have runners at second and third with only 1 out, but you have the guy that you've said and professed, this is the guy we're not going to let beat us in an open bag. Here you're either going to pitch very, very carefully to him, or you just go ahead and put him on.
And Massey just took a long look into the dugout. So we'll see what happens on this pitch. If this pitch is not a strike, they're going to intentionally walk him?
Looks like they're just going to go ahead and put him on.
Yeah.
They told us in our meetings that this is the one guy they're not going to let beat them with his bat. They'd rather put him on and take their chances with Aaron McGlone. Although, as they said, that's not much of a relief for you when you see McGlone come to the plate. But if you're going to take your chances, you definitely don't want Wilson to do it. Although they came back now and threw a strike, so maybe they've changed their strategy on it.
The count is full. How odd was that?
Looks like they've changed their mind.
Here's the pitch to Wilson. The run will score. They will go to first. So Wilson is retired, but the go-ahead run does score. As Green comes home.
Not often you're excited that a run scores, but for Tennessee they're excited only 1 run scores when John Wilson puts the ball in play with his bat. So he is not, you know, they expected to come out of it probably with a run scoring, so they scored in that situation because they're pitching to him, but they didn't want any more than that, and they were able to accomplish it. Now they have to get Aaron McGlone out.
McGlone's had 2 hits. Single to right in the first and double to right in the 5th. And the first pitch is a ball. How odd was that with Wilson at the plate that it appeared as if Tennessee was going to intentionally walk him. They threw one intentional ball, then came back and pitched to him. That's very odd. Shot to the right side. Collected by Case, underhand to DeJong, and the inning is over. But Kentucky puts 3 on the board, and UK is back in front, 6-5. Kentucky with a 1-run lead now in this seesaw SEC baseball game tonight in Knoxville. 6-5, Wildcats in front. And there's a look at Wade, who got the start today for Kentucky. Went 4 1/3, gave up 5 runs. Just 3 of them, however, were earned. Did not walk a man and struck out 2.
It's not often you look at a line and you see 11 hits given up and think that's a pretty decent outing. But overall, it really wasn't bad for them. As you mentioned, only 3 of the runs were earned out of the 5. It did leave Blanton in a tough spot coming into the game with bases loaded, and Tennessee capitalized and got 2 runs after Scott Blanton came to the ball game. But
kept his team in the game,
kept his team in the ball game and did a really good job. Excuse me, that's Joseph Blanton. I'm calling him Scott, thinking of someone else. My fault.
I'm trying to think who you're thinking of.
The football player.
Aha!
Busted again.
And there's the first pitch to Baumtrog. Baumtrog 1 for 2 today. Singled in his first at bat back in the 2nd inning. And now the count levels at 1-1. Following Baumtrog's at bat, we will go back to the top of the order. Had a lot of offense today. 2 teams had combined for 23 hits and 11 runs to this point, and we are only in the bottom of the 6th.
Remember, Kentucky opened up this ball game going ahead, and Tennessee was playing catch-up, and then Tennessee reversed it and went ahead 3-2, and then Kentucky came back, tied it at 3. Tennessee up 5-3. Kentucky back, tied it at 5. Now Kentucky going ahead. Tennessee having to play catch-up and not having had to do that in the last few innings.
Kentucky with a 2-run lead early. The Vols had a 2-run lead for the moment until Kentucky put a 3 spot up on the board in the top of the inning, and that is a called strike 3. So we'll go back to the top of the order for Burke. Here's another look.
Excellent pitch. Excellent pitch there by Blanton. Getting into the inside part of the plate, that hard fastball, the heavy fastball that Coach told us about, punches out Baumtrog.
Blanton getting loose a little bit, and that one had some serious gas on it. Here's Burke. Burke, the leadoff hitter for the Tennessee Volunteers. 1 for 3, singled his first time up. Blanton rocks and fires, and he came over the top with that curveball and stayed high and outside, 2-0. Called strike, 2-1. Blanton came into the game in relief of Scott Wade in the 5th inning, and his first pitch to John Massey was promptly off the right field wall to score 2 runs. You can see he's throwing some serious gas up there. Burke was unable to get around.
And he got it inside on him too. Didn't give him a chance to extend, get full extension on the swing. Got it in tight on him. He had to fist it away.
So the count is now level at 2 balls and 2 strikes with 1 out, bottom of the 6th. Here's Blanton's pitch. This one into right field, and that is a base hit. So he was able to get around on that and send it into short right field for a base hit, his 2nd hit of the game.
Yeah, he's not able to get the full extension. As you mentioned, they missed it a little bit off into right field, but he stayed with it and battled the whole way. Allowed him to get that base hit, and now one of the top stolen basemen in the conference, Chris Burke. 30 of 34 coming into this ball game in stolen bases.
And with the Vols trailing by a run, you got to believe that he could and probably should be running in this situation. He bluffed towards second base on that pitch to third baseman Kris Bennett. Bennett 1 for 3. The Vols have a potential tying run at first base with one out here in the bottom of the sixth. 6-5 Kentucky.
Watch for Joseph Blanton to do a variety of things at the mound. He just stepped off a pitch ago.
Hot shot to the first baseman, Newton.
Good tag play.
And the ball gets away, and here comes Burke. He'll go to third. So there are 2 outs in the inning, but Burke goes all the way to third. So on the hot shot to Newton, he took the forced play first.
Took the force play, tagged the bag. Now it's going to have to be a tag play, and the throw just got away from Meade at short. He's trying to throw it to the inside part of the bag to give Meade a clear chance of seeing the ball. The ball's just a little bit too far inside.
Christensen with a drive down the left field line. That will pull foul. And so Newton is charged with an error, allowing Burke to go to third. If Burke had not been able to move on to third, there would have been no error on that play because you can never assume a double play. But when Burke moved to third, an error was charged. And here's a called strike. So Christensen in a 0-2 hole with 2 outs. And Joseph Blanton wants to slam the door on the Vols right here. Kentucky trying to nurse a 1-run lead. Christensen, 2 singles, and scored 2 runs. And they appeal to the third base umpire. No swing. And there are a lot of Kentucky fans here today.
Making the trip in from Lexington and other places that they may live, coming into Knoxville.
What do you think? Ooh.
It's a close one, but I like the call. I like the call that he looked like the intent was to check, and he didn't get out that far that I think that you call third strike on him.
Blanton topped the mid, just off the black. 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs.
This is wild. This is a big pitch.
Just inside, and Blanton, after getting ahead of Christensen 0-2, the count is now full. Burke, the potential tying run, is 90 feet away. Swing and a miss. So Blanton fans 2 in the frame, and Burke is left at third. So in the inning, no runs, a hit, 1 error, 1 man left on base.
Big time pitch there by Joseph Blanton. Gets it on the inside part of the plate. Christensen can't get extended. Strike 3, goes down swinging. Nice job by Blanton getting out of a little bit of hole he was in.
Here's a good look at the catcher of the Kentucky Wildcats, John Wilson. Wilson is a quiet leader, leads by example on this team, is the power man in the lineup for Kentucky. And he's been focusing his energies on his on-the-field activities because off the field, Charles, he's had some personal problems, or he's been involved in some family problems.
Involved in family problems, was shot in high school, and but his emphasis, as he's told all of us, is on his playing abilities and being able to play, not on the adversity that he's been through.
Keith Madison, the head coach of the Kentucky Wildcats, had this to say about his outstanding catcher, John Wilson.
Yeah, there was a time, I mean, when he was in the hospital, he was in intensive care for about 6 days, and his life was kind of hanging on the balance there, and the doctors, I'm sure, thought that he would never play baseball again. They just wanted to pull him through that traumatic experience, and you know, 3 or 4 weeks after he gets out of the hospital, he's conditioning. I mean, he's training to get back on the baseball field, and and he was at Cal State Northridge at the time. They actually dropped their baseball program, and so he thought his world was coming to an end. I mean, he fought hard to get back in shape and to become a solid baseball player again. Then his college baseball program drops the program, and so one of the assistant coaches knew one of my assistant coaches. They call us, say, we got a great player for you. We brought him out for a visit. He loves Kentucky, and he's been a great player for us ever since.
All right, John Wilson. That's an inspiring story.
It really is. Makes you think, oh, you know, you got a pile of papers back at the office or something else. You don't have any issues.
What's really important?
What's really important is what that young man has done, and I have a lot of admiration for him for what he has done to get back to doing what he's doing.
Harrison steps in, and the first pitch from Jordan DeJong is fouled off the right side. Harrison 0 for 3. Harrison drops down a bunt. DeJong fields, throws. Nicely done. And there was one out. DeJong was quickly off the mound. Went to the third base side. Knew he had some time because the ball, although it was a bunt attempt, he had time to set himself and make an accurate throw over to Ryan Case for the first down.
We talked earlier about Greg Goff teaching his pitchers fundamentals. Randy Mazie no slouch of that also. Come off that mound balanced, be able to move in either direction. And when you're able to field your position, you only help yourself.
So this is Robert Newton. Newton really got into one in the fourth inning and sent an opposite field homer over the left field wall.
And I don't know if there is a Newton's fourth law or whatever it is, but Robert with the four-bagger.
Oh, man.
Terrible attempt at humor.
I don't know. Newton's law of motion.
Motion, action.
Bat meets ball. Ball meets wall.
All he cared about was it got over the wall, and there was a run for Kentucky.
Got the fat part of the bat on that one, but sends it foul. Kris Bennett went over to take a look. Man, it's great to have baseball back.
There's nothing like it. You mentioned it in the opening. You know, what it brings back, the feelings that you have, the winter rapidly leaving us. Great American pastime.
Looper to short. Stevie Daniel got it 2 away.
And what was that word you used in the open? Harbinger? You know,
Harbinger.
Don't forget.
That's a good Scrabble word.
That's triple word score, and everybody just put the board away and go. Our producer Ray Goodrich, I believe he gave us that he gave you that word. That's a great word, but he did say that xylophone is better than Scrabble. So
2 down, and Seth Morris takes a look at the called strike from Jordan DeJong, who came in relief of Brian Gates. DeJong came in the 6th inning and has been effective.
Remember, he's a guy who was used to being in the rotation. He was a starter for most of this year, and you know that once a starter, you always want to be a starter. I'm sure he's pitching today to show Coach Delmonico and Coach Mazie that he should be back in the rotation.
Exactly. Tried to come over the top with a little bit extra that time. Outside. Ball 1. 1 and 2. 2 outs. Top of the 7th. Swing and a miss. And that's the inning. 3 up, 3 down. No runs, hits, errors, or men left on base. Kentucky 6, Tennessee 5.
Imagine a technology so advanced you'll hit longer and straighter than ever before. Introducing the Tri-Metal Plus Fairway Woods by Olimar. It has a new high-performance shaft for greater club head speed. And it's the only fairway wood with the proven Tri-Metal technology and deeper alpha miraging face that's harder than titanium, so the ball explodes off the club face. Copper tungsten weights lower the center of gravity, making it easier to get the ball airborne and land it softly on the green. The result? Explosive distance that will dramatically improve your game. Last season, the
The next stretch time just wrapping up. Middle of the 7th. Kentucky with a 6-5 lead. SEC baseball action continues next weekend as the Vanderbilt Commodores head south to take on the Florida Gators. Next Saturday at 4 Eastern, right here on SEC TV. How about those Florida Gators, the basketball Gators?
A very impressive win over what many people were predicting to be the national champions, the Duke Blue Devils. Now the Gators in the round of 8, playing for a chance to go to the Final Four tomorrow.
Here's Stevie Daniel. Face hit right back up the middle. So just like that, the Vols have the leadoff man aboard here in the 7th. They trail by a run, 6-5. Well, that was a solid hit. And Daniel has been aboard 3 or 4 times. That's his second hit of the game.
Another one of those big speed merchants for the Tennessee Volunteers, 26-28 coming in his ball game with stolen bases. You know, be prepared if you're Kentucky. This guy's going to want, he'll probably want to run.
Here's Parker. Parker singled his last time up. Ball gets through, and Daniel takes second. Thank you. So just like that, in a one-run game, the Tennessee Vols have the potential tying run at second base with nobody out here in the bottom of the 7th inning.
It makes things easier for Tennessee. They didn't have to risk running on the steal. Stevie Daniel wasn't going on the pitch, but the wild pitch there by Joseph Blanton gets through. They have a runner on second. Kind of the cheap way for Tennessee, but they're so happy about it. They didn't have to risk that running and potentially running into an out.
Parker with a foul ball to the right side.
First base coach Josh Morris knocking it down. We want to give him an ease since it's a foul ball.
Parker, junior outfielder from Nesbitt, Mississippi, has just over 100 hits in his Tennessee baseball career. At the pitch, it stays inside, 2-0. Shot to second. Green is up with it. And he makes the easy throw over. And retires Parker. But on the play, Daniel moves to third. So with only one out, the tying run for the Vols is just 90 feet away. And some high fives all the way around the dugout for Parker because he got his job done.
He really did. That's exactly what they needed in that situation. Good piece of hitting, hit to the right side of the infield, allowing the runner to go from second to third on the fielder's choice. Not always a base hit. It's a great piece of hitting. Exactly what they need out of Justin Parker in that situation. Now you have Massey coming to play with only one out, runner on third.
Massey's been busy. John with 2 hits today.
Turned into fine glove work, too, catching that foul, that pop foul earlier in the ball game off the bunt attempt off of a good hustle play.
Check swing at the feet of Massey. Hey, it's 1-1. You know, I was hanging around watching the pitchers warm up before yesterday's game, and Massey came out early, and he spent a good 10 minutes having players throw balls in the dirt to him to practice keeping the ball in front of him. He's real adept at that. He's been adept with the bat in this game, too.
And the reason he's adept with it is exactly what you described. He works at it.
Massey. A shot into center field. The game is tied. Meade tried to go up the ladder and flag down that laser-like single into left center field. But Massey's third hit of the day brings home the tying run, and we're tied at 6.
Having an exceptional day at the plate is John Massey. The Ole Miss transfer. Blanton puts it right down the heart. Massey makes him pay. Sharp shot into left field. Stevie Daniel, the speed merchant, bringing it to the plate. Tie ball game, 6-6.
Well, could we be on the verge of another pitching change? The head coach of the Kentucky Wildcats, Keith Madison, is on the mound.
Looks like he's made the call, Dave.
He certainly has. So Kentucky with a pitching change. We'll be back with more in just a moment. We are in the 7th inning, tied at 6.
When it comes to investing, experts say look to security. The confidence of...
And welcome back to Knoxville. We've got a pitching change for the Kentucky Wildcats here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Mark Micheal is now in the game. He is our 3rd pitcher for UK. The game now is tied at 6. Back and forth we go. It's been a great game this afternoon from Lindsey Nelson Stadium in Knoxville, Tennessee. Tennessee Vols now with 15 hits. And Mark Micheal is in the game, right-hander, freshman from Lexington, Kentucky, and he's one of those bevy of freshmen that head coach Keith Madison told us about. Said many of his top pitchers this year would be freshmen. So here's a freshman put in a tight spot.
Very tight spot for him. This is going to be his 10th appearance of the year. And he started 2 ball games, so most of his stuff's in relief. He's 2-0 with a 2.22 ERA. And again, you know, so that's the tough part about being a relief pitcher. It's not often you get to come into the ball game with the bases empty and you just go out there and coast. You're usually coming in some tough situations, and here he is, 1 out. Runner on first for Tennessee.
So Ryan Moffett steps in, just 1 out. Here in the bottom of the 7th, Tennessee has already scored 1 run to tie the game. We're coming tonight from Knoxville, Tennessee. This is Lindsey Nelson Baseball Stadium here in Knoxville on the campus of the University of Tennessee. I'm Dave Weekley alongside Charles Davis, and this is Southeastern Conference College Baseball on SEC TV, and we are happy that you're joining us along the Fox Sports Net tonight.
And this is one beautiful park, named after Lindsey Nelson. You know, a lot of people know Lindsey from CBS Sports and from his time, you know, as the announcer for the New York Mets. But Lindsey was a sports information director back here at the University of Tennessee, one of the places he got his start. Thus, the stadium being named for him as Rod Moffett goes down.
Moffett struck out, 2 down. So Micheal comes in and records the strikeout. And here's another look at this facility. We mentioned, Charles, that it was updated back in 1993.
And what an update that was. As I said at the time, I was kidding, but not by much. The field that you see is pretty much the same, although they've upgraded it in terms of the grass and everything else. But as far as a stadium surrounding, it's just gorgeous. It has a concourse and everything else. Before, it was a field with some stands.
Meade makes the play. He retires Case. And the Vols are finished in the 7th, but not before they score a run to tie the game. We're through 6 complete, tied at 6. Kentucky 6, Tennessee 6. 2 teams that combined for 26 hits through the first 7 as we head to the top of the 8th. SEC TV kicks off its softball coverage next Friday night right here in Knoxville as the Tennessee Lady Vols host the South Carolina Lady Gamecocks. The action kicks off with SEC today at 7 Eastern Friday night on Fox Sports Net. Price, fly ball to left. Moffett with the grab. 1 pitch, 1 out here in the top of the 8th for UK.
Jordan DeJong has really come in and done a good job pitching. I can't overestimate what he has done since he's come in. He's come in with a lot of confidence, shown some really good pitches, got himself out of the jam early, and ever since then, he's just been setting them down.
Mowing them down. Here's Meade in his last at bat in the 6th inning. A 2-run homer over the left field wall.
That one was hit off of Brian Gates.
And it tied the game for the moment. That tied the game at 5. We're now tied at 6.
Jeff Meade having an excellent series thus far for Kentucky. 2 for 5 last night. A couple hits today, including that home run that we just saw.
Meade's a regular on the SEC Academic Honor Roll. relief stint.
Excellent pitch on the outside part of the plate, outside corner. Steve Meade didn't like it very much, but who does when they call strike 3?
Nobody likes that, except DeJong. All right, so here we go to the top of the lineup for Andy Green. Green's been busy. He's been aboard 3 of 4 times today. He singled and scored his last time up in the 6th. In fact, he scored the tying run for the Vols, or rather for UK, and he loves to see Tennessee because in this series against the Vols last year, he went 6 for 14 with 6 runs scored. Stays high. 1-1. Kentucky 6-11-3. Tennessee 6-15-1. Lots of offense today. Outfield plays Green slightly to left. Hometown boy, Lexington, Kentucky, Lexington Christian Academy. Called receiving the Kentucky Student Athlete of the Year award as his most memorable moment in sport. And it's a called strike 2, 1-2.
Young throwing very confidently right now. Ernie Mazie mixing the pitches for him from the bench, calling him from the bench, relaying them to the catcher, John Massey. Young working very well.
So close, just off the corner, and Green stays alive, and the count is 2-2 with 2 outs.
He just missed the spot that he punched Jeff Meade out with before on the black.
A side retired in order has been a bit of a rarity today, but DeJong is trying for it here. And he draws a walk.
Yeah, he did it last inning when he had a 1-2-3 inning, but as you said, Dave, definitely a rarity. Now there's a walk. It brings up Beau Moore.
So here's Beau Moore. We mentioned he had the game-winning hit for Kentucky in last night's 10-inning extra inning win over the Tennessee Vols, 7-5. He'd love to be a hero again. He's in that position right now.
Now you want to see if Kentucky wants to use their running game with Andy Green, try and get him into scoring position. 2 outs.
Green is the best base-stealing threat that UK possesses with 12 steals and 15 attempts. DeJong comes set. And he continues to spend lots of attention on Green.
Anything they can do to keep him from getting a good jump, whether it's on, whether it's on the straight steal or if a base hit does happen, have him end up at third base.
Wilson would be next if Moore could keep the inning alive. Oh, so close. Case, the first baseman, thought he had the tag. Green may have been leaning towards second base a bit. Here's another look.
Second time we've seen this today, where Andy Green has been leaning towards second, but is able to get back in for the second time today underneath the tag. Ooh, that's close.
That's real close.
That's awfully close. I think that from the Tennessee perspective, the first time that he got in, okay, that was close, but the second time, I think they really feel like they got him. Now, Keith Madison, I'm sure he's discussing the young move.
Absolutely. He's talking about that was possibly a block move. Just to get back to that close play first base. Just my opinion. But I think it has an awful lot to do with where the tag is applied. I think that high tag that was just applied on Green may have been in time, but it wasn't near the bag.
I agree with you on that. Umpires get used to that tag being closer to the bag and catching it on a hand or a wrist, as opposed to up on the shoulder. They almost automatically give you your back in on that one. But in that case, I think that he was out. But because it's exactly what you said, Dave, an excellent point.
It's almost like in college basketball where you're trying to take the ball away from a defender, when you're trying to take a ball away from an offensive player and you reach around him. even when you poke it away cleanly, you'll be called for the foul 9 times out of 10 because an umpire or referee is conditioned to make that call.
Almost the automatic, this is what you look at, the automatic double play ball around second base. Sometimes they don't tag the bag, get that phantom call, but because you're near it,
yeah,
they'll make the call anyway.
That's a good point. Here's the 0-2 pitch. It's a pitch out, and Green was not on the move that time. Not a good count to be running. Let's see what happens here. 1-2 with 2 outs. Got your best speed at first base in a tie game. Top of the 8th. He's on the move. It's a pitch out. Here's the throw down to second base. Safe. Massey to Daniel, but Green got a hand in under the tag.
Had everything going right. Randy Massey called for the pitch out 2 times in a row. One time he does go, the second time he catches him going. Massey with the throw. It's a little high. Getting it down. Very, very close play. They call him safe at second.
Charles, that was the key.
High throw.
High throw. It was a strong throw by Massey, but it was just a little too tall. So Green now with his 13th stolen base of the year.
And if you're Massey, that's the one you kick yourself for because the pitch out was called. When they call the pitch out, you got to handle that and make the throw. And if you throw it down, they probably have it.
Fouled straight back and over the screen. Now, if you're the pitcher, DeJong, close play down at second base. You still have 2 outs. You've really got to focus your attention on the hitter and not get tied up in how close the play was.
Yeah, because now it's not as important for Kentucky to get that runner to third. It helps you, of course, but it is not as important because the single brings him home regardless. So now, DeJong, don't worry as much about the runner at second. Bear down.
Green goes for third. Moore sends one to right. Parker is back, and he has the ball at the track. Moore gave it a ride. Sent Parker to the base of the fence. But UK does not score in the 8th. We're heading to the bottom of the 8th. Tied at 6. Bottom of the 8th here in Knoxville. For all the latest news on the SEC, be sure and log on to secsports.com. Get up-to-date scores, stories, even buy merchandise from your favorite school. The Southeastern Conference on the web at secsports.com.
And I'm sporting some of that gear, let me tell you. There's Coach Keith Madison. Still want to discuss that balk call.
Or the lack of one.
Or the lack of one. And maybe a few other items while he's out there. Sometimes you go out there, you take that free shot while you're having a nice little jocular conversation. Okay, maybe, you might have missed that one.
Oh, and another thing.
Oh, by the way, back in the 6th, there was this situation.
Yeah, pull a Columbo on him. Just one more thing.
Just one more thing.
Here's Mark Micheal on the mound for Kentucky, and the first pitch is a ball to the number 9 hitter for the Vols, Jeff Baumtrog. Baumtrog 1-for-3, singled back in the 2nd, struck out in his last time up in the 6th. There is a called strike. It's 1-1. Well, it's been a great series between these two rivals, Kentucky and Tennessee, this weekend here in Knoxville. Last night's game tight. This one, same way. Anybody's ball game. Tied at 6, bottom of the 8th. Baumtrog fouls it straight back. It's 1-2. Just the beginning of another great college baseball season on SEC TV.
Very important series for one that's so early in the SEC season. Both of these teams have aspirations of being in the top 25, feel like they're close, and winning this series for a long way towards putting them in.
And Baumtrog is hit by a pitch, and Wilson doesn't like the call, and Madison is out of the dugout.
That we were talking about a couple minutes ago. There seemed to be a little bit easier conversation, a little more heat coming from Keith Madison this time.
Let's take another look and see if we can pick this up. Well, that's a tough one to see on that angle. Couldn't see if the path of the ball changed. Nevertheless, Baumtrog is down at first base, hit by a pitch to lead off the bottom of the 8th in a tie game. So we'll go to the top for Chris Burke. Burke drops the bunt. Picks up by Micheal. He'll go to first base to record the out. The potential go-ahead run is now down at second base with only one out. Nice sacrifice by Burke.
And, this is a guy, talk about Burke, Chris Burke, hitting 435. Puts on the sacrifice play, goes right to it and does it. Tells you about how he feels about being a team man.
Oh, yeah.
At the same time, executed it well. A lot of guys, hitting 435, you get that call, you're like, kind of stab at it. You don't really do it well, hoping that you'll get a chance to swing the bat. No hesitation from Chris Burke. That's why he's the team leader.
Here's Kris Bennett. 1 for 4 today. Bennett collected that single way back in the first inning. So now Baumtrog leads off second base. 1 out. Game tied at 6. Shot to third. Harrison checks the runner. Going across the diamond. 2 down.
Big time play by Vince Harrison. It's not one of those ones that's going to wow you on the highlight reel. They made the routine play happen to give them the second out in the inning. Tennessee had what they wanted. Harrison picking up, checking the runner back to second, making sure he's not on the move. Didn't have a chance to hang him up. Nice strong throw to first base. Guy showing a lot of guts today, staying in that ball game after taking that hard shot off of his mouth after medical attention.
No question.
Hung in there well.
First pitch to Christensen is outside for a ball. Christensen has homered in consecutive games, but that streak might go by the board unless he can get into one right here. Still had a fine game, however. 2 for 4, 2 singles, 2 runs scored, struck out twice. Inside, 2-0.
And this is the matchup that Tennessee would like to have the left-handed hitter, guy who's swinging the bat well right now, Jeff Christensen, against the relief pitcher, Mark Micheal, come into the ball game. Runner on second, 2 outs. Rod Delmonico playing for the 1 run by having Burke lay down the bunt earlier. Nice counting on Christensen to bring in the run.
Mark Micheal, the freshman reliever from Lexington, Kentucky, now behind 3-0. Baumtrog started the inning by being hit by a pitch. Then we went to the top for Burke, who sacrificed him to second base. Bennett ground out to third. Here's Christensen, sent to receive the 3-0. And it's a called strike. Now, next weekend, Tennessee goes on the road, and they'll take on that red-hot Georgia Bulldog ball club. Check swing. The pitch looked high. And 3-2.
Wasn't one of the better swings we've seen out of Jeff Christensen. Ball was pretty well by him. Plus, it was up in the strike zone. He was trying to hold back on it, but he was too far gone. Now it's come down, 3-2 pitch.
Shot right back to Micheal. Tennessee threatened in the 8th. But Micheal closes the door. No runs, no hits, no errors, 1 man left. We're heading to the 9th, and we're tied at 6. It's nail-biting time in Knoxville. Kentucky and Tennessee tied at 6. We are in the top of the 9th inning. Could we be heading for extra innings for the 2nd consecutive night in this series?
Now that you said it, yeah.
Possible. Possible.
Now that you brought it up.
Well, we've been talking about John Wilson all night long. Talking about his big bat.
Hey, how much
talking about his power potential.
And again, this is what, the 3rd time he's come up as a leadoff hitter in an inning?
You're right.
I believe.
You're right. Sends this one to right. Parker is back, and he makes the catch.
Every time he's gone down with a fly out to the outfield. Twice to the center fielder Baumtrog, this time to Parker in right field. As you said, you keep waiting for the breakout and the opportunity. You get this a chance, for Tennessee to pitch to him better than they would in another situation, and thus far it's worked each time for them.
After Wilson walked his first time up, he's been retired 4 straight times. 3 on fly ball outs. This is Aaron McGlone, and McGlone sends one to short. Stevie Daniel scoops it up. 2 down. been the epitome of efficiency here in the top of the 9th inning. 2 pitches, 2 outs. This is Vince Harrison. Harrison wearing the collar in this game thus far, 0 for 4. So the UK footballer turned baseball third baseman, looking for his first hit, trying to get on base any way he can. Called strike. And Young is in the zone.
Looks like he's got a bubble gum dip or something. Yep, that's probably just a fat lip from the ground ball he took off his face earlier in the ball game.
Harrison with a 2-hopper to Bennett. And that was a quickly played top of the 9th. Balls coming to the bat with a chance to win it. Bottom of the 9th time, we're tied at 6.
I'm Roy.
It's a picture-perfect evening in Knoxville for SEC baseball. We are tied at 6, bottom of the 9th. Tennessee has a potential winning run at second base. We've had another pitching change. We are set to see our 4th Kentucky pitcher of the day. This is right-hander John Hooker. Throws a cut fastball. Mid-80s with a fastball. Also has a split finger pitch. This is his 10th appearance of the year.
Done very well. Teams only bat 150 against him. And right now he needs them to bat 0-0-0 against him to get Kentucky out of this jam. The out pitch is the split finger fastball that you mentioned. I mean, that's his number 1 pitch that he goes with to try and put people out, to try and get out of the inning, put people down. He'll set it up with the fastball and the cut fastball and the curve, but the split finger is his out pitch.
And we've got a pinch hitter for Tennessee. This is going to be Brandon Hopkins, the sophomore from Knoxville. Look at that. That's a pretty fat average.
325 with men in scoring position. I'd sure like to up that a little bit right now.
Hopkins takes a cold strike. Hopkins is batting for Moffett. He's in there swinging from the left side. Daniel leads off second base. Foul ball down the left field line, out of play. The Hooker comes out of the UK pen and gets ahead of the pinch hitter 0-2. Daniels has got terrific speed at second base. They'll send him home on anything close. Here's the pitch to Hopkins. Fouls it at the plate and stays alive. Count remains 0-2.
Good job by Hopkins calling that pitch off to keep Madison in the dugout, taking it all in. Game now in the hands of John Hooker in the Kentucky defense. And that was a good pitch by Hooker.
It was.
That Hopkins had to battle the foul off.
Fastball outside. Hooker went about 3/4 sidearm with that offering. Tailed away from the hitter, but it did stay outside. It's 1-2.
Here, Greg Goff's going to call from the bench here. Ordinarily, the out pitch is a split finger, but also that's a tough pitch to control as a catcher, too. So what you don't want in this situation is a pass ball or a wild pitch. That has to go into Greg Goff's thinking also.
This is developing into a pretty good battle between two players just into the game.
To Greg Goff, the pitching coach there in the middle. Keith Madison to our right, sitting next to him. Greg Goff signaling in the pitches to his catcher, who relays them to the pitcher.
Hopkins swings and fouls back another. And the count holds at 1-2.
Neither side wanting to give in. Great battle. The Kentucky coaches there. They got two coaches signaling. One of them would be the live signaler. One of them would be the dummy signaler because these teams don't want to be able to steal signs from each other.
Here's Hooker's pitch. Shot to short. The double play is recorded. Meade flipped it to second baseman Andy Green. The double play is recorded. The Cats avoid the bullet. We're going to extra innings, tied at 6. The Vols had the potential winning run on the bases, but couldn't bring him home. We are going extra innings tonight in Knoxville. Kentucky 6, Tennessee 6. Here's how the bottom of the 9th ended. Hopkins hit it on the screws, but right at Meade. Over to Green, an inning-ending double play, and the Cats are pumped.
2 feet to either side. Tennessee celebrating a victory. Ball right at Meade, who was over there trying to bluff Daniel back towards the bag. Perfect position for where that ball was hit. Nice double play for Kentucky to get out of that inning.
So just like last night's series opener between these two teams, we're heading to extra innings. Newton sends one to left, turns Moffett around. It's gone! His second homer of the game. His second opposite field homer of the game. Newton had 2 homers on the year coming into this game. He's got 2 homers tonight.
About the same place for both of them. This one I didn't feel was going to get out of the park initially when it came off the bat, but it kept traveling. See him stepping into it, again going opposite field. And this time, I think it's Christensen going. Is it Christensen in left field now? Yeah, Christensen going back to the wall. He's moved over. They've lost the DH now is what they've done. Christensen following that one to the wall. There's no place else to go. Ball's out. Another big-time hit for Robert Newton.
Robert Newton, 2 home runs tonight. And just like that, the Vols are down a run as UK jumps in front 7-6.
DeJong, who had been cruising, really been impressive setting him up. I mean, he's still been an impressive pitcher, but boy, all it takes is one pitch to feel like you've wasted some of that effort as you've been out there. He's really pitched a fine game.
This is Seth Morris. Fouls it away. It's 1-2. But that's baseball, isn't it? Bottom of the 9th. Tennessee has Kentucky on the ropes. They get the pinch hitter they want at the plate. He hits the ball right on the screws, but just at the shortstop Meade, who turns it into an inning-ending double play. You get to the 10th, and Newton rides one out of here, an opposite field home run, and UK has got a 7-6 lead. Morris stays alive. The count is 2-2. Kentucky's big inning was the 6th, an inning in which they scored 3 runs. Meade had a 2-run homer for the Cats in that frame. Morris fouls it off to the right side. Here's the 2-2. Pitch was way inside. Took a whack at it anyway and drove it practically into the parking lot.
Heck of a play out there in the parking lot, too.
He didn't even lose his headphones.
Didn't even lose his headphones. Just a little tug at the hand, showing that it hurt. Taking a little action tonight.
Morris with another foul. Seth Morris, 13th round pick by the Twins in the April '99 amateur draft. He did everything at Hamilton, Ohio High School. Two-time Ohio Player of the Year, Gatorade Player of the Year as a senior. Here comes the 2-2 from DeJong. Shot to short. Daniel up with it across the diamond. And that is the first out of the inning. Daniel committed an error in the first inning that allowed Kentucky to score its first run of the ball game. He's gobbled up everything else. Breck Price DHing tonight. steps in with one out. Shot to the left side, off the glove of Burke and into right field for a base hit. And for Price, that's his second hit of the night. He's been aboard 3 times.
He's their acknowledged closer, and now Kentucky has the 7-6 lead. Nice hit for him to the right side of the field.
Kind of quiet.
Chris Burke not able to get to it. Not happy about not getting to it either. That guy's an ultimate competitor.
Yeah, he almost made a fine play. Pickrell is into the game, and he scored the go-ahead run for Kentucky in last night's game in the 10th inning. He came home on the double in the 10th by Beau Moore. Must be a special scholarship deal where he only gets in the 10th.
Well, it's my kind of scholarship. I'll tell you what, you're going to scholar you up. You only have to go in, and when the game gets into the 10th, and you're either tied or you have a 1-run lead.
It's a high drama scholarship.
High drama. Just have to make sure you're ready to go each time.
Here's Meade. Pickrell's on the move, and now he's on his way back to the bench. He did not have a good jump.
That's a big-time throw there by Massey. Remember the last time they pitched out and he threw high? Yeah, he had a chance to make that play. This time, he got to give him a second opportunity. Made an excellent throw on the line. No doubt about that one.
Meade fouls one back. Here's another look at Pickrell on the move.
Beautiful job. Massey stepping in. Ball delivered right where it's supposed to be.
That was a perfect throw by Massey.
Perfect. Burke covering on the play. That's it.
And that's a called strike to Meade. I mentioned it earlier in the inning that Meade had a big 2-run homer in the 6th. A solo home run to lead off the top of the 10th by Robert Newton has put UK in front, 7-6. And now the count is run full to Meade. Should Meade get aboard, we'll go back to the top of the order. Stays alive. It looked like DeJong took a little bit off that fastball.
Meade has one of those protective swings, just trying to chop at it and get something on it, stay alive for another swing.
Swing and a miss. It was up and out of the zone. Would have been ball 4, but instead it's an inning-ending strikeout. But nevertheless, in the frame for Kentucky, they score a run on the home run by Robert Nelson. 2 hits, no errors. Nobody left on base. We're going to the bottom of the 10th. UK's in front by a run. Rod Delmonico and the Tennessee Vols trail by a run. It's do or die time. Kentucky with a home run in the top of the 10th leads 7-6. The Vols need a run to tie, 2 to win.
Really intense time in this ball game. You saw that reflected in Rod Delmonico's face. But one thing that's been great for you and I, Dave, has been the cooperation of both these coaches.
Sky to left field. In foul territory, the out is recorded. 1 away. Case is gone. 1 pitch, 1 out. McGlone makes the catch. Baumtrog now steps in. He's been aboard twice. Singled in the 2nd. Hit by a pitch in the 8th. Led off the 8th by being hit by a pitch. Tennessee sacrificed to get him down to second base, but could not score him. Vols had their leadoff man aboard in the top of the 9th and could not score a run. Swing and a miss. A weak effort as John Hooker looks to get dialed in. He wants to close this out and pick up the win for the Kentucky Wildcats. Ball's in the dirt. Count levels at 1-1. Tennessee with 15 hits in this game. Kentucky has 13 hits. But Kentucky leads in the run column 7-6. Called 1-2. Hooker, the fourth pitcher of the day for Kentucky, rears back. And the ball stays low. It's 2-2. I think Keith Madison's been through a few tight games.
One or two.
Had a few. One or two. Just off the corner, and the count is full.
Both of them have. And, last night being an example. Both of them really been into this game. We've seen more Keith Madison out on the field discussing things with umpires, but don't think for a second Rod Delmonico's not getting his say in from the dugout, too. Because both these guys know how important this series is, and tonight is a real pivotal game, especially for Tennessee, having lost last night's game.
Here's a pivotal pitch in this game. Sent to right. Morris went the wrong way and then came back at the last minute to make the catch. He broke back on the ball, and then at the very last moment came forward and made the grab. Down to their last out. Rod Delmonico looks on as his leadoff man, Chris Burke, steps to the plate. And Burke takes a called strike. Burke with 2 hits today, singled in the first, singled in the sixth. Hooker trying to close the door. It's another called strike. Inside corner, 0-2. Kentucky trailed 5-3 at one point in this game, but now leads 7-6, 1 strike away from an extra inning victory. Line drive, left field, fair ball. Burke will take second. Christensen, McGlone slips down, and Burke is in scoring position with 2 outs in the bottom of the 10th. Burke was down to his last strike, reached for an outside pitch, sent it to left. McGlone really nearly overran that ball, but did recover. And so now here's Bennett. 2 outs. Tennessee with a runner in scoring position down at second base. Hooker retired the first 2 batters here in the bottom of the 10th. And the ball gets away. Burke going to third. Wilson won't attempt to throw. So now a wild pitch or a pass ball will tie the game as Burke is at third, 90 feet away. Kentucky took the lead in the top of the 10th as Robert Newton led off the frame with a home run, his second opposite field homer of the game. Pitching coach Goff, along with Wilson and John Hooker, all at the mound, trying to all get on the same page. It's been a great ball game between these two SEC East Division rivals.
Dave, I've made it down to the dugout. I'm on the Kentucky side, and they are all up, standing. Almost all the guys are up at the edge of the dugout, but Greg Goff comes back in from having talked to John Hooker. Obviously a key situation, runner on third with 2 outs.
So Kris Bennett steps in. Balls need a clutch. 2-out hit. Here's the pitch inside, a ball. Ball 1.
What a great atmosphere, Dave. You know, here in the bottom of the bottom of 10, both teams dugouts alive and encouraging their teammates on. Tennessee encouraging Kris Bennett at the plate, and of course Kentucky with Hooker on the mound.
Inside, a called strike. And Bennett didn't like the call. He was bailing on the pitch. Hooker dusted him off the plate a bit, and he painted the inside black. It's 2-1. Hooker checks Burke at third. Here's the pitch. It's high. It's 3-1. If Bennett would get aboard, he would represent the winning run. Here's the 3-1 with 2 outs from Hooker. Shot to short. Meade has it across the diamond. And the Kentucky Wildcats win in extra innings over the Tennessee Vols, 7-6. With 2 outs in the bottom of the 10th, the Vols tried to rally. Chris Burke doubled to left, went to third on a wild pitch, but the Vols could not get him home. John Hooker did a great job in relief for Kentucky. 2 home runs by Robert Newton, including the eventual game-winning homer, a solo shot to lead off the top of the 10th. So Kentucky has won the first 2 games of this series, a 3-game affair in Knoxville with the Tennessee Volunteers. Kentucky is now 21-4 overall, 3-4 in the SEC. Tennessee drops to 23-8, and the Vols, who came into this series at 3-2 in league play, are now 3-4. Let's head down to Charles, who's standing by with a happy head coach of the Kentucky Wildcats. Charles?
Thanks, Dave, and you're right. He is a very happy coach of the Kentucky Wildcats, Keith Madison. And, Coach, this is a heck of a ball game. He jumped out ahead. He went a little seesaw as things went along, and you just whispered in my ear a minute ago you lost a couple of close games like this last week. What does this mean to you tonight?
Well, after losing 2 games at home against Mississippi State with last-inning home runs, it really means a lot. It's going to be a great confidence builder for this young pitching staff, and John Hooker just did a great job last night and tonight coming in and pitching well at the end of the game for us.
In 2 situations you were down and Robert Newton came to the plate. Well, one situation you were down and once you were tied, and he took 2 out of the park tonight. Talk to us a little bit about that. Did you expect to see that kind of power out of him?
Well, I know Robert's got power. He's been struggling a little bit, and I dropped him from the 5 hole down to the 6 hole, and I don't know if that makes any difference or not. Maybe it took a little pressure off of him and swung the bat very well tonight.
Well, you sure did, and you ought to be a happy guy. You've already taken 2 out of 2 from Tennessee with a 3rd game scheduled tomorrow.
Right.
Your feelings about that quickly?
Well, I think our guys are very high right now. We try to teach them to play on an even keel, but with the rivalry like we have with Tennessee, there's a lot of emotion going on, so hopefully we can come back to earth and play good baseball and not make 4 errors tomorrow.
Yeah, that'd be terrific for you. I tell you what, Dave, and the rest of the crew, this was a great ball game, and Keith Madison obviously very happy, having taken 2 out of 2 so far from Tennessee. 3rd game scheduled tomorrow. That ought to be a heck of a battle. And Dave, what do you think? Maybe we should come back and do that one too.
I am all for it. I say let's do it. So the Kentucky Wildcats, a winner over the Tennessee Volunteers today in extra innings. 7-6 the final score. Wildcats committed 4 errors in this game to go along with 7 runs and 13 hits. The Tennessee Volunteers, at one point in this game, had a 5-3 lead, but with 6 runs, 16 hits, and 1 error, come up just a run short. Hooker gets the win. He is 1-1. DeJong takes the loss. He is 3-3. Among the many stars of the game for the Kentucky Wildcats, Robert Newton hit 2 home runs in this game, an opposite field shot in the 4th inning, and a solo homer to lead off the top of the 10th. That turned out to be the game-winning run. Jeff Meade also had a big 2-run homer for Kentucky in this game. We enjoyed our stay at Lindsey Nelson Stadium in Knoxville, Tennessee, for our final score. The Kentucky Wildcats, a winner over the Tennessee Volunteers, 7-6. You've been watching SEC Baseball here on SEC TV. Our next broadcast next Saturday afternoon. The Commodores of Vanderbilt take on the Florida Gators. We hope you join us then. For Charles Davis, I'm Dave Weekley saying so long from Knoxville. You've been watching College Baseball on Fox Sports Net.